Hey guys, so we are now on the second page of your interactive document on geography. Where does Georgia fit? Geography and COVID-19. So I have a 5-minute video. Let me knock it out. Let's look at what we are calling the Tracking Coronavirus COVID-19 interactive map. What's important about this map, if you look at the left column here, is that you have an interactive timeline and you can actually click and scroll back and forth. I'm going to stay right here on the 26th for now. There is data country to country. It's not as up to date as other resources you can find online, but it's pretty good. For this purpose, we do not need any of this. Simply need the timeline and to make observations about the map. How to use the map? You can zoom in and out by clicking on the plus and minus icon here. And you can also scroll around the world by utilizing this globe here. Okay, so let's jump right into it. We've got to knock it out. In the previous section, you identified the origin of the coronavirus. So no shocker, when you interacted with that timeline resource, you found that on December 31st, the virus originated in Wuhan at a fish market, and that actually is located here in Hubei. So do you see how China has been most greatly impacted in areas surrounding this province? Does that make sense? It actually even speaks to our very first question. So you're asked to identify the continent which experienced the first major outbreak. Well, we need to go back in time. I'm going to use my timeline to the left here, scroll as far back as I can go. Now, the timeline doesn't go all the way back to December, but that's okay. Because if we make some observations about this map, if I zoom out, start scrolling around, you see by January 23rd, there's a lot of action happening here, but let's look around the world. No cases noted in Europe or in Africa. Oh, I see something here. Do not forget this, it's important. No real cases in South America. So let's use the obvious, okay? Common sense may have told you that, hey, if the virus originated in China in December, what continent would be the first to see a major outbreak? So what continent would China be located in? And you can see from your timeline map, most cases in the world at this point in time are located here, the continent of Asia. So I'll give you that one. Okay, so here's the next point. Your question next says, what continent was the next to see the spread? So I don't think that was the language. Of course, I'm showing you my screen, so I can't look at both at the same time. But you are to identify what continent the virus spread to next. So what did I ask you to make note of earlier? When we scroll around, well, are there any other continents in the world that have seen cases? Why? Yes, I told you to make note of this. In the United States, by January 23rd, we actually have found our first case. It's actually in Washington, so I'm not sure why the icon is here, but you can identify this continent as being the next point of contact for the coronavirus, okay? So that's up to you. What continent is the United States located in? Now, before my video time runs out, let's address the next question. So the next question asks you to identify the date of the first occurrence in Europe. You can do this one of two ways. You can go all the way to March 27th, or you can stay on the timeline at January 23rd. There are two different ways you can do this. I think it's easier to start from the beginning. So it says the date of the first case in Europe. Well, let's find out. We're on January 23rd. All I have to do is simply go to my timeline and click January 24th, and voila, you see your first case here in France. Your answer is located directly here. Let's pretend for just a moment that I started later, at a later date. You're going to see by March 5th, it's spread all over Europe. So you would then be backtracking a little until you then saw your very, very first case. Okay, so hopefully that was super helpful. If you're curious, interact with the map a little, see where we are today. Again, this isn't as up to date as others, but it's a great resource and it allows you to make adjustments so that you can really track the spread of the virus across the world. Because as you can see, by the 27th, we have cases in South America, in Africa, in Australia, okay? And then of course, Europe, which is our hot spot right now. All right, so I hope that was super, super helpful. And I will make sure this gets posted and let me know if you guys have any questions. Thank you.